Good evening. Welcome to another exciting edition of Sowing the Bourbon. I'm Glenn. This is Charlie, and tonight we're talking about all things Kate Middleton. Where is she? Why has she disappeared? When's she coming back? No, we're not doing that, Charlie. Why don't you tell them what we're really going to talk about tonight?
I was kind of excited about the Kate Middleton thing.
Well,
it's
maybe we'll get into it.
Intriguing. But tonight, in true Tater fashion, we're going to tater it up. Are these Tater bottles worth tatering for? And can
we
a couple
tell
of
the difference?
Taters tell the difference? Let's see what happens.
Blind. Okay, Charlie, we've got a bunch of glasses, a bunch of bottles in front of us tonight. Let's talk about what we're doing. We've got E.H. Taylor small batch.
E.H. Taylor single barrel, and just for good measure, a Buffalo Trace single barrel. And before you say anything, we're going to see if we can tell the difference between any of these, because these are pretty hot bottles, right? Like these are stand in line, tater it up.
For some people.
Let's get excited about it, especially the E.H. Taylors. And the reason for the episode is because I recently stumbled upon this E.H. Taylor single barrel, which I paid retail for, which was, I want to say it was $69.99, somewhere around there.
You got me.
And the small batch, they're both the same thing, right? Like they're the same mash bill number 1, low rye from Buffalo Trace. They're both bottled in bond 100 proof. The only difference is one is a single barrel and one is a small batch. So they should taste different, right?
They should, you would think.
And then we have Buffalo Trace, which is the same mash bill. And this is a single barrel. Now, it's a little less proof, good old fashioned 90 proof compared to 100. But if we're good, we should be able to tell the difference, right?
You would think. I don't know.
Maybe.
Should
we'll
we?
See. But
we should be able to tell a difference. Maybe we can't pick them out, but we should be able to distinguish them, right?
I like doing stuff like this because it takes away the marketing and the branding and the little tube that it comes in and the little thing and the doesn't matter. Now all that you're left with are your senses, your smell, your vision,
and your preference.
And your preference, yeah. So should you be standing in line for a single barrel E.H. Taylor, or should you just try to find a Buffalo Trace because that's what you like better?
I don't know. I'm ready to get to it, though.
Let's get into it.
Charlie's wife has graciously poured these for us. We don't know.
Yep, we know
what is what.
This is one, this is one, this is one. We do not know what they are. All the bottles are numbered on the bottom, so you find out when we find out. So do you want to go right to left or left to right?
Left to right, baby.
Left to right. Grab one. Thank you.
You're welcome, sir. Very light in color.
It is light in color. It is light in color.
Not very viscous.
Not very viscous. Does not put much of a ring around.
I'm already getting ideas.
Yes, I am also as well.
And I don't drink a lot of Buffalo Trace products.
I don't either.
Don't drink Buffalo Trace much. Don't drink E.H. Taylor much. So I'm not super familiar with any of these.
It is a very light color, you know, almost like an amber. Mm-hmm. Shall we nose?
We shall nose.
A little bit more spice there than I anticipated.
A little bit of ethanol there.
Quite a bit of ethanol, but sweet and spicy little meatball there. Mm.
Not real complex.
Not real complex. Shall we taste it?
Cheers.
Cheers.
Very sweet. Mm-hmm. A little spicy.
Mm-hmm.
So I know the E.H. Taylors are 100 proof.
Yes.
What's the Buffalo Trace again?
90.
90, okay.
And this is where we really struggle because we'll sip things and be like, it's like 90 proof and it's 120 proof, or we'll be like, that's definitely 90 and it was actually 70. See, the doubt has already started, hasn't it?
Well, and there's really not a whole lot to say until we start getting into the others, right? Mm-hmm. It'll either really clarify things or really.
What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? Take all of it out. Somebody pours this for you at their house, and they say, "Try this. What do you think?" It's okay. It's a.
It's okay. It's a. 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 It's a run-of-the-mill classic Kentucky bourbon, not super complex. Little sweetness, little spicy, little caramel, little burnt sugar.
I am a little surprised at how much really either dark chocolate, tobacco, I wouldn't go so far as to say oaky, but it does dry a little bit on the finish, and the finish lingers for a little while. I think it's a nice little offering. It's not the most complex thing I've ever had, but it's an easy sipper.
I don't love the finish. It's a little
harsh.
Yeah, and I like oaky. I like a nice oaky finish, but this is a little harsh. Yeah, good word.
I don't mind it. I don't mind it at all.
It's not bad. Not bad.
I'm gonna palate cleanse.
Where's my water, Charlie? I'm stuck.
Oh, here's your water, Glenn.
Thank you, Charlie.
You're welcome, man.
Gosh. I don't need a lid.
Professionalism is a high level. Shall we
on to the next?
Do this little middle guy?
This one, is that darker or is it not? I can't tell if it's just because of the shape of the glass.
Maybe a shade.
Yeah,
like
it is. It is.
It's a little,
darker.
And I wouldn't say dark. Just a different shade of red, maybe. Does have a little red in it. A little copper color.
I feel like this sticks to the glass a little bit more.
It does have a little bit more cling, for sure.
It don't mean a thing if it ain't got that cling.
We're gonna nose it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Typically we smell things.
Episode 3. Much different nose than the first one. No ethanol.
Very little ethanol. I wouldn't say no. I mean, I get a little bit of it.
This is more of a, I get more of a dark fruit, more of a burnt sugar, or
I get a little char as well. A little bit of barrel char, a little smokiness.
There's a little char there.
On there. Don't get a lot of fruit. Definitely get some sweet. Oh, there's a little fruit there. All right, let's see what this one's about.
First thoughts, I like this one better than the first. It's got that same oaky finish, but it's not as harsh. This is a little more well-rounded, a little softer. No?
This one's interesting. It gives me nothing front palate. But so when I first drink it, I'm like, it's kind of disappointing. And then mid palate, it kind of starts and kind of starts getting you a little bit. And then you're like, okay, there's a little spice, a little bit of tingle on your tongue. And then you're left with a nice, I don't get a ton of sweetness. I get a lot of that char, a lot of oak and tobacco. I don't get a ton of sweetness on this one.
No, it's not super sweet. It's I feel like this has a better finish.
It is definitely a softer finish. Still flavorful, but it is definitely a softer finish. And it has a really nice, I wouldn't even call it spice, but like a tingle, kind of mid palate that kind of starts and just sort of, and I guess you would call that maybe a light spice. Kind of tickles your tongue a little bit.
I don't really get much of that.
Contrarian. I like that we're disagreeing.
Not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I don't get that on this particular pour. It's just a little bit more muted, a little more.
Yeah.
And once again, not super complex.
It is more oaky, I will tell you that.
But it's a more pleasant oak, I feel like, than the first one. A little less. The first one I thought had a little bit of a, almost, not a medicinal, but almost like a, you know that Band-Aid taste that I'm talking about? No?
I've never eaten a Band-Aid.
The first one had a little bit of that. I think people might know what I'm talking about. It's if you smell a Band-Aid, what you would imagine that would taste like.
Okay.
Like an antiseptic almost flavor.
I see what you're saying. So the difference between, the main reason for the episode is obviously comparing the E.H. Taylor small batch versus the single barrel. There is no discernible difference on Buffalo Trace's website, which gives you a lot of the history and things, but none of really the information, which is fine. It says that many of the single barrel of old E.H. Taylors are aged in Warehouse C. Not all, but many. So there's no guarantee that that's where it's coming from, and the small batch, it just says it ages in older warehouses.
Okay.
So, here you go.
Thanks, sir. I feel like this one's a little closer in color to the first one than the second one.
They are awful similar.
Yeah, that's true. It's pretty...
I mean, awful similar.
Still, maybe a shade darker still than the first one.
Doesn't put a ton on the glass. Isn't real.
Doesn't look very viscous.
Doesn't look viscous. It puts a nice little ring around the top, but it doesn't kind of cascade down its nose. We're nosing.
He's always trying to spoil my fun.
He just wants to drink. Glenn just wants to do shots.
You know what?
So into bourbon, watch us do shots. I'm anxious to see what you think of this nose.
Okay, so I feel like we're going back towards the direction of the first selection, which now it's got me all messed up because I'm thinking, well, if two of them are very similar, you would think it would be the two E.H. Taylors, right?
I don't know, because I feel like I like this nose better. I get more of the grain on the nose. I can smell the corn. I feel like I can smell the rye in this one. Has a really nice grain forward.
So my second nosing, I'm getting a little bit more of that. A little bit more, I'm picking up a tiny bit of like a green apple type note. Not, as soon as I said that, now I don't.
Kind of fleeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
it's a nice nose. I don't mind it. I do agree with you. I think we are going back toward the sweetness of number one. This is why blinds are fun, kids.
Lots more vanilla and caramel on this one. I feel like that little bit of spice is back. Now you got a little spice on my lips. Almost a peppery feeling on my lips.
It does have a really nice kind of, which all these are low rye. This one definitely has more of a rye spice, a tingle on your tongue. Really nice. I really like that. That's one of my favorite characters in bourbon or rye, is that nice little pop rocks kind of like it just tingles your tongue. It is more grain forward, and it's messing with my head because I don't know if it's from the nose and my palate's kind of playing, but it is much more grain forward, which makes me think maybe this is a little younger, which means this could be the Buffalo Trace, which is really messing with me. But overall, very enjoyable. I feel like they all drink about the same proof-wise, even though we're 10 proof off. Like there is not one that you can taste and be like, oh, that's the 90 proof. So,
although the more I think about it, if I had to pick one to be the 90 proof, I might pick number 2 here. I think. Well, we're not gonna get into which one we like best yet, are we? Or,
well, I mean, we certainly can.
Okay, let's do that because we want to we want to do that before we identify them. Are we going to just rate them 1, 2, 3, or are we going to try to pick which is which, or are we going to do both?
Well, let's rate them 1, 2, 3, and then let's say what we think they are. I think is probably the best way to do this. As you can see, our production meetings are in depth, and we come into every episode with a plan.
Hey, Charlie, what you got back there?
Let's drink these. After you, sir.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Man. So you went 1, 2, 3?
No, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, it's close. 1, 2, 3. I think I could have been swayed very easily to go this 1, 2, 3, but I'll go with you. 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
I will say this too. They're all fine drinkable bourbons. There's not one of these you're like, that's not good.
I agree.
That's not good. So let's do this. Let's show our numbers.
Do we want to try to guess which is which?
Oh, do we want to try to guess?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Rock and roll.
Let's get it on record.
Okay.
So, first time through, I thought for sure that was going to be the Buffalo Trace.
Okay.
But now I'm kind of thinking that this may be the Buffalo Trace.
Okay.
And you've got me on the other two. I mean, how do you distinguish between a small batch and a single barrel? I'm going to go with single barrel here just because I liked it best.
A little more oaky.
And a little bit different, distinguishable flavor. And then the small batch here.
So you think this is Buffalo Trace?
Yep.
Let's see which one this is.
Let's do it.
Because you think that's Buffalo Trace. What number is on the bottom of that?
I can't read that, Charlie. Do we have a DJ? DJ, play a tune for us.
This is it's a 1. It's a line.
1?
That's a 1.
Okay.
Single barrel.
So that's the single barrel.
That's the single barrel.
Interesting.
So that's your second.
Which, honestly...
So you thought that the Buffalo Trace, that is actually the single barrel. So
that doesn't surprise me, though, because that was discernibly different than the other two.
Okay, I'll give you that. So your number 1, our number 1, is number 2.
Let's see if it's really number 2.
Number 2.
Okay, interesting.
Which is a small batch, which means that is the Buffalo Trace.
So my initial thoughts were correct.
You did. So what have we learned, children? I will tell you what we've learned. Is in a blind, they're all pretty good. And it really comes down to a matter of taste. Because I will tell you after, so here's what I'll say about the Buffalo Trace.
I will say I didn't love Buffalo Trace.
You didn't love it?
No.
What about when you went back to it?
It was better than it was initially, but I wouldn't choose to go back to that.
I didn't mind it. I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was interesting that it held its own in this lineup, which is a very highly regarded lineup. Now, they're all very good. I am surprised at how much more I enjoyed the small batch than the single barrel.
Yeah.
There was more complexity. There was more depth of flavor. I felt like there was a nicer oak finish. It was just a more well-rounded, put-together offering.
It, though. That's the idea of a small batch, right?
Mm-hmm. Control.
It's control. Mm-hmm. Hey, what tastes best? And let's blend barrels together until we get that taste that we love, that we want to present to our clientele, right?
And Glenn just summed it up. When you're going to single barrel bourbon, and this is why it's hard not to be romantic about bourbon, because when you single barrel,
T-shirts coming soon.
T-shirts coming soon. When you single barrel something, that flavor is there. Good, bad, indifferent, transcendent, the best thing, the worst thing. That's what you get, and it's here, and it's there for that moment in time and it's gone forever.
And there's a single barrel for everyone.
And there is a single barrel. There's plenty of single barrels in the sea. I don't think that's a saying.
All right, Charlie. Do we have anything more to say on these?
Do you think you should wait in line for knowing what you know now, and knowing retails and especially secondaries? What are your thoughts on the E.H. Taylor single barrel versus small batch?
So I think the small batch was great. I'm sure there's a single barrel out there somewhere that I would like better than the small batch. It's luck of the draw, right?
Yep.
Would I wait in line for any of these bottles? No, I wouldn't have before this, and I still wouldn't after this. Are they all okay bottles? Sure.
I think they are all great bottles at retail. I think the excitement around them due to the labeling and the tube has gotten a little ridiculous. I think if you have these, you should do a blind yourself with some Buffalo Trace products.
And throw something else in there.
Yeah, see how much you really love them. So,
Absolutely.
You know what the people need to do?
Yes, I do. They need to like and subscribe right here on the YouTube channel. Make sure you hit the little bell so you know when we post good new content, right? You want to be notified.
Tater it up.
And then check us out on socials. TikTok.
Whiskey Realtor.
Instagram.
So into bourbon.
And as always, you want to keep your wallets loose.
And your bungholes tight. Good night, everybody.
Peace out.
Don't tater too hard. Were you recording that whole time of me just singing weird stuff? If you're trying to embarrass me.
That's okay.
And pause.
I know I brought it down.
Edit this back in. Ready? You happy?
Yep.
Haven't been in years. Let's go.
3, 2, 1.
Action.